More and more keeps coming out about Pokemon Legends ZA, and it's getting me actually even more excited about the game than I had been before. Hey guys, I'm Rob, this is Haus, and we're going to be going over what I have seen, a little bit of what I've heard from the descriptions, that a lot of these people who were flown out to Paris, I was not one of them, we're not big enough yet. You guys can help us with that by liking and subscribing, by the way, but beyond that, they were flown out to Paris to play a preview of the game. They each got about an hour of playing time. There were like 4 different areas essentially that they could go to, or 4 different portions of the game that kind of did a few different things. I'm going to just kind of have this IGN video here playing in the background. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've heard, what my thoughts are on them, and yeah, we'll see how that goes. But let me know, like I said, what you guys think in the comments section below. Does this get you more excited or less excited? Yeah, let's just dive into it. For the most part, the gameplay has been the highlight of this whole thing. So the battling, the catching mechanics, the finding different Pokemon within the game. Now, what was shown so far was there were more ZA Royale battles. They were able to run around in a wild zone for a little bit. They ran into some different alpha Pokemon, which we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And they also had another mega battle, and then they had a rank up battle from the ZA Royale as well. So there were a lot of different things that you were able to do. You can already see here, this is the Wild Zone 6, and we'll kind of start with this Wild Zone and what they were talking about, and things that I found to be interesting. So in this review specifically, they talked about the fact that you could go down to the waterways. So sewers we already we're kind of sure that they were, in this game. They are 100% a portion of the game. So you are going to have 3 different layers within, probably not all, but some of the wild zones, where you'll have the waterways, maybe even, I guess, technically a 4th if the sewers go under the waterways even. But then you'll have, street level where, you can see already, the Houndour is getting, taken out by this Watchog. This is, by the way, Nintendo provided, stuff. So you're going to see the same videos playing for just about everybody. I'm going to pause here because I do want to go over that in a second as well. But essentially, it was confirmed that we're going to be able to go to the waterways, that there will be some of that extra, space, which is really good. I also heard one of the reviewers, by the way, say that their Chikorita in the playthrough did evolve, into a Bayleaf, and it was a normal Bayleaf. So any sort of stuff that we have been kind of waiting for, in terms of maybe they're going to have a different middle evolution. Either they're holding that back completely, and they just kept the normal evolution in this game, or those normal evolutions are going to be 100% in the game, and we won't be getting anything extra for the middle evolutions, which is fine. I fully expected that, considering, we'll probably have a normal final evolution, but it'll be the mega evolution, right, that we will be getting for the starters. So, that was kind of talked about. One of the other things that was talked about for the Wild Zone was that, you can't knock Pokemon out in the same way that we used to. They kind of get the confused stars going around their head after you've lowered their HP, and it gives you a better chance to catch them. There have been different experiences with different people. Some people have said, hey, this has felt too easy. Other people said they actually had a tougher time catching some of the Pokemon. Overall, I want to kind of show this really quickly as well, right? These little arrows, I think, indicate how easy or hard it is going to be to catch the Pokemon. From what I can see in this video, right, let's, I guess, just start this one out from the top here. So give it just a second. So, look, you can see the arrow right now. It's pretty unlikely that with the Pokeball, I would assume that you have available to you, because I think there are still going to be Great Balls, Ultra Balls, Master Balls and stuff like that, right? It's going to depend on how likely you are to catch it. So you can see here in just a second when it's going to attack again right there. So the drowsiness, by the way, so sleep is changed completely, right? There's going to be a drowsiness instead of that we saw in Arceus, instead of the actual full-on sleep where you can attack. Whether that just slows it down and maybe probably hurts cooldowns is what I'm expecting, because we're getting more here about these moves. But as you can see, the likelihood, the arrow went up the minute that it did that. Once it gets knocked out here, you'll see in just a second. One more hit with bite. There you go. So look, the arrow didn't go up. So you just reach a certain point to where the Pokemon is going to be more easily able to be caught. This was something that I had noticed early on when they were first doing the trailers. I have still believed this. It just gives you a time where they're not attacking you, I think, is more what that is. Because apparently they will disappear and then they will respawn. So, you'll have those kinds of, different catch opportunities. What does worry me a little bit is, how are the spawn rates going to be? Are we going to have to fully leave an area, like actually exit, Wild Zone 6 and then go back in? Or what is going to go on with that? That is something that I think is absolutely, worth trying to figure out. But for the most part, the catching and the battling, which is the main part of Pokemon, right, seems to be good. And I want to take a second to talk about the fact that, like, this is stuff that they have been working on. This is what Pokemon does, is with each new game now, it feels like they are working on some sort of new tech for Pokemon, and we'll see it for the first time in a game, and then it potentially becomes a major part of the games. Now, I'm still not convinced that this is going to be the main way that Pokemon are battled in Pokemon games moving forward. I do understand that Pokemon Champions is going to be coming out, right? And that's going to have the standard style of battling that we are used to. This game is testing new things out. But if we keep going back, we will see, you'll see what I'm talking about, right? So let's just take an easy one here, and let's go with Sword and Shield. It was the first time that we had a truly open area, not the whole game, right? But an open area where we could see Pokemon in the overworld, catch them, be able to, kind of run into them and go into battle. What they did is they then expanded on that significantly with Pokemon Legends Arceus, where it was the full game, right? Was open world, and that became the new established way that we are doing it now for Pokemon games, as we saw with Scarlet and Violet. They also introduced in that one, right? So they took the open world stuff and moved it forward, and then they brought in the new catching mechanics, right? And that was, seen for the first time. They were testing out the different battle styles as well. If you guys remember, like the quick or the power style, or I can't remember exactly what they were called, but, those two different styles, and it allowed it so that you could still have kind of that, turn-based gameplay, but you could move up your moves and everything like that. Then we saw in Sword and Scarlet and Violet, they took that out. They kept the catching mechanics, they kept the open world, right? And that became part of the new main game, and that's what we're going to be getting. Open world, those same kind of catching mechanics, Pokemon in the overworld. I think that is here to stay for good. We will probably see that in Generation 10. What they are trying out now is a new sort of battling, right? And to give them credit, they are having to rehaul every single move in the game, and the way that it interacts with Pokemon as you are battling, as you have this new, action RPG style. Cooldowns are going to be a new part of battling that are going to be important. Timing with Detect, with, Protect, all that kind of stuff. Like, even in one of these battling, scenes, they talk about the fact, and I don't know if they show it in this one. Yeah, here you go. So they talk about it here, where the Victory Bell during the Rogue Mega Victory Bell battle literally lays down pools of acid, and if your Pokemon run through them, they take damage, or they potentially get poisoned, or both. You can literally see even here, Sableye was poisoned because it ran through that. So they are adding just a whole new layer of depth to the battling system, and I think that is the main focus, because the reason I bring this up as well is because the graphics and stuff, right? Which there are so many people who are very, very worried about, how the buildings look, how they all feel, all that kind of stuff. And I really do understand kind of the feeling with that. What I will say is, even in just this video, we saw where they were 3 years ago with Legends Arceus. The game is brighter. It feels more full. It feels a little bit more natural as well. The buildings are still bad. I'm not going to argue that. But they have taken steps forward, but again, I think they are really testing things out with Legends games, and we're seeing that actively with the way that things are going here. So you have that, right? Then they kind of just showed more of the ZA Royale, and apparently the battles are a lot tougher. Now, they weren't as hard just because their Pokemon, look, this Pikachu's level 25 and this one's 15, that's the team that they were given. But apparently, like having to move around, using, all of these different obstacles to try to, block from getting attacked. All that kind of stuff was a part of the game and a big portion of the game as well. And like even the switch battling, something that I've been talking about, you can leave moves like Whirlpool, like Spikes, like Toxic Spikes, all that stuff out there just like you could in normal Pokemon, right? And apparently like Whirlpool was like the big one everybody was talking about because Gyarados had it, and it would just stay out there for like an indefinite amount of time, and you could try to get the Pokemon that you were battling to either stay in it, run in it again, all that kind of stuff. I found that to be just incredibly cool, and thought that it was an important, thing to kind of bring up here. Also, there are those cards that we have seen. Those are not just like, I don't know, I thought they might be like abilities or something that they give your Pokemon. Instead, it allows you to get more coins or tickets if you do a certain thing. One of the things that I believe she even points out here at some point, let me see, where is it? Here we go. So she kind of like focuses in on that card. Then she's going to show, you see one there, which was, one second, immediately knock out unaware opponents with your first blow. So apparently that's even going to be a possible thing, and you would get 30 tickets or 300 tickets and 30 of the tokens. Now, I still am not sure exactly what the tokens are going to do, but then here's another one that she talks about, right, which is the sneak up and start battles using flying moves. So, you use, like she's got clearly, a Fletchinder here. So on her team, so she could use that to do that. They also had prize medals, by the way, that you could pick up so that, you're able to use these prize medals. I kept calling them tokens, sorry, but these prize medals, I'm still not like remembering, maybe I've forgotten, or I don't know exactly what these are going to be used for yet, but I am excited to kind of see what all they have to offer. Now, and then you can see it here, right? And this is in a W ranked opponent, so maybe there will be other areas that you can go back to and get more points or medallions, but because they're a lower ranked opponent, maybe you don't get as much as you're trying to kind of rank yourself up. What's really cool is that Rintaro, the waiter, he's got Simisear, Simipour, and Simisage all on his team. And he's battling here like in this cafe. Now, it's not clear if cafes are all going to have battles or how that's going to work, but this guy is the one that you need to rank up from W to V in the ZA Royale. And what everybody is talking about with these is that it feels like a freaking, which I am super excited about, it feels like a gym battle, right? And if we have 26 gym battles, that's going to be absolutely amazing. And I can't wait to kind of see, what teams they're going to have, what Pokemon you should be bringing to them. This is one of the indoor places. A couple people were like, well, I don't know that there's going to be a lot of indoor stuff. I don't know either, but like there might be more than we realize. It's just maybe the areas that they were given so far didn't have them, or maybe they've had it kind of closed off because they've been very specific about what they are allowing us to see. They've slipped on some things, but for the most part, they've been very specific. And, people are saying like these battles are really freaking hard. And you can see even here, right? Something we are kind of already knew, but, using a move like Protect to actually, time things up is going to be super important in this as well. And then you can see here, you rank up, boom, right there. So I'm hopeful that you're going to be able to do that throughout the game, honestly. I'm really intrigued. I wonder if the city is I'm almost certain that the city is going to change as you continue to go through the story. That there will be parts where there will be newer wild Pokemon for you to get. Now, I don't know if that means that you're not going to be able to catch certain wild Pokemon later in the game. You might literally have to catch every Pokemon that you can or that you want to complete certain things before you kind of do that time skip or whatever it's going to be, right, to where there will be new wild Pokemon within the game, because there are going to be hundreds of Pokemon in here for you to catch. How that's going to work, I really still have no idea. The last thing is that they did confirm that you can have multiple Mega Evolutions on your team at one time. The C+ moves and stuff that we have been seeing will use this gauge that you get while you are battling for Mega. You will still be able to, you know, as you're picking that stuff up, be able to, like the Mega Energy or whatever, you'll still be able to actually, you know, Mega Evolve your Pokemon, or you can use those C+ moves. The C+ moves also are something that you, you know, that use that, and then when you Mega Evolve, they're just permanently like that. So, like for all of your moves. Apparently, like there's some sort of, as you get to learn the move better, the more you use it, the stronger it gets. Something similar to what we saw in Legends Arceus. What I'm saying is, even like this battle with this Rogue Mega Victory Bell looked outstanding. I really think the battle mechanics and I think the story even is going to be interesting. There are people complaining about the writing of Pokemon. Look, let's be real. If you're really that critical of what each person is saying to the other one, outside of the just overarching story of the game, you're coming to the wrong place, man. This game was made for kids. That's kind of the point of why they're doing certain things. So, and why it's probably a little bit dumbed down. I don't personally have a huge problem with that, but I can see why people are at least talking about it. These are, you know, really kind of the big things that a lot of people talked about, a lot of things that they saw, you know, everybody. So she's even showing that off here about what we were talking about with the C+ moves there. You know, you've got the Mega Fragment stuff that you can pick up that helps you get to that. I thought those Mega Fragments, honestly, were going to help you get new Mega Stones. So it sounds like the Mega Stones are going to still be kind of out in the wild. There are still going to be ways that we're going to have to figure out how you go and you get each one. If you guys want to know how to do that, we're going to tell you, we're going to keep that happening here at PokeHouse and over at thegamehouse.com. We're going to have full guides, everything, as much as we can possibly put out there for you guys to figure out what's going on in the game, how you find certain things, how you do certain things. I'm really excited about it. And this preview, I think, helps that. Again, every single one that I watched, you know, Cerebi was probably the most positive of everybody. Almost all of them were like, I want to get back in there and I want to battle. I want to learn more about it. The whole point of this game, like, we don't even have all the side missions that are going to be in this game, right? All of the different NPCs and stuff that I think are going to be running around. There have been varying reports of some places are dead zones, some places are vibrant and full of life, right? There are just so many things, like but the battling is the main portion of this game. The new thing that they're adding, that they are trying to test out and see how we feel about it. And again, they had to go through and basically redo every single move based on how long it's going to be out there, when you can use it, how it's going to affect Pokemon. You know, how close or how far away you have to be. There was one person who literally said that a Swablu flew up too high and you literally could not hit it unless if you had another Pokemon that could go up there and battle it. Like, these are kind of the things that we were looking for with Pokemon for so long. And look, I don't care. Like, the graphics look okay. They're fine. I'm going to be playing it on my Switch too. That's the version you guys will be seeing for any content that is coming out here from me specifically on PokeHouse, by the way. But I really think this game is going to be fun. I think it's going to revolutionize Pokemon to a certain degree, and I'm excited to see how this battling will move forward. I'm still not sold on it being in, like, the mainline games yet, but I could see them doing it if people really respond well and love it. I don't want to lose the old style of, you know, turn-based. I think that's where Pokemon Champions is going, but we will have to see. I'm really interested to kind of see how things are going to go here over the next year as we learn more about this, Gen 10, Pokopia, all those kinds of things. Pokemon is back in a very big way, and we're just a couple weeks away from the game coming out. So that's all I've got. Let me know what you guys are thinking about all of this. Did it get you more excited, less excited? What are you having problems with? What are you liking? Let me know about that in the comment section below. But that is going to wrap it up for us on this one. So from our house to yours, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.